This is one I was excited to do. Blade Trinity sucks. I'm just gonna flat out say it. Blade Trinity sucks. This movie. Uh, so, it's the final Blade movie. Wesley Snipes is back. He's working with two other people now. Let's just skip the plot because the plot is very nonsensical, and I honestly had no idea what was going on for a good majority of the movie. Wesley Snipes is good as Blade. He already proved that in the first two movies, but his character in this one is significantly worse than in the first two movies. I honestly kind of hated Blade in this movie, which sucks because after watching the first two movies, I love the character of Blade, and I love the character of Blade that Wesley Snipes portrays. I don't like the Blade in this movie. He's just not a good character, and he's talking like Batman the whole time. He never lets up by doing this really deep, intense voice. And it's like, dude, you're not Batman, you're Blade. He just really, really disappointed me in this movie. Ryan Reynolds is in this movie as Hannibal King. He's easily the best part of this movie. I'll get into it later, but he is easily the best part of this movie. And this is his first time being in a superhero movie. So this is before Deadpool. This was before X-Men Origins. This was before Green Lantern. Okay, let's get into the movie. So the plot makes no sense. I honestly I watched the movie and I had no idea what was actually going on. Something about Dracula and oh. So Dracula was the first vampire? Because why? Okay, guys. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. If you're trying to make a serious vampire movie about vampire lore and stuff like that, and you're not a Universal movie or a Hammer movie, don't do Dracula because it just seems a little cheesy. And like when Universal does it, you understand because Dracula was one of their original horror movies. And when Hammer does it again, well, I mean, I don't think Hammer does movies anymore. I don't know. I gotta look into it. But when you're trying to take something seriously and then you're just like, let's throw Dracula in there, the most iconic vampire who has had like a bunch of different iterations over the history of film, some of which have been Adam Sandler fueled. Not a good plan, especially when you have a scene where he walks into a goth shop and he's just looking around at Dracula merchandise. That scene made me want to shoot myself with a silver stake through the heart. And I'm not even a vampire. Pale enough to be a vampire, but I am not one. Really, Ryan Reynolds is just easily the best part of this movie. He has the funniest lines. He's kind of a douchebag, but in the likable way, kind of like Deadpool. He was basically playing Deadpool in this movie, but without swords in the suit and the breaking the fourth wall, or the 90s references. He just made a lot of jokes, and a lot of them were pretty funny. Even in like the beginning of the movie, he has the opening narration of the movie is Ryan Reynolds, and he immediately just he starts out serious in tone, but then he cuts the crap and he throws in a joke, and it's really really funny. And I just wish that he was in a different movie, but he still had. So basically, I was just Deadpool. I I liked him in the movie. I just wish he was Deadpool in the Deadpool movie instead at this time. But Patton Oswalt is in this movie, and he's all right. Patton Oswalt is one of my favorite stand-up comedians. He's one of my favorite comedic actors. I wish he got more stuff to do. His wife passed away very recently, not like super recently, but within the past couple years. And so it's understandable why I don't really see him in much anymore. But I hope he does eventually seriously get a big leading role in a movie because he deserves it. He's really funny. He's really good actor. He's just great. And there is a funny exchange between him and Ryan Reynolds in the movie where Ryan Reynolds he says to him, "Have you ever been laid?" And he's like, "Yes, many times, and with a woman." And I was not expecting it, so I just busted out laughing. Seriously, Ryan Reynolds and Patton Oswalt saved this movie, except for the fact that the whole time I was watching this, when Patton Oswalt popped up, because I knew Ryan Reynolds was in the movie, I knew he already went through all that, but when Patton Oswalt popped up in this movie, I was like, no, you dragged poor Patton Oswalt into this movie. Oh, just let him be on King of Queens and leave it be. And then he had the funny exchange with Ryan Reynolds, and I was like, okay, I will excuse it, just because I like that exchange between the two. And the fight scenes in this movie kind of suck. David S. Goyer is a good writer. He is not a great director. And I just did not like the way this movie was shot or edited. It felt really weird compared to the first two, because the first two were shot and edited pretty well, especially Blade 2 because of Guillermo del Toro and his style of filmmaking. But this one was just not shot all that well. And there were some pretty crappy effects. The writing, besides stuff that I'm 90% sure Ryan Reynolds might have just come up with on his own, is pretty crappy. The characters suck. Most of them are unlikable, especially Blade. I mean, honestly, it's horrible. I was really let down with this movie compared to Blade and Blade 2, just because I really think Blade is a great superhero movie. I really think Blade 2 is an even better great superhero movie. Or, more accurately, anti-hero movie. But this movie, Blade, is just unlikable, and I was just hoping that this movie would further the story of Blade, further his character, further the characters around him, just really just improve on things that were great in the other movies and make this a really well put together trilogy. And it just didn't happen. I really sincerely think that Blade Trinity is a garbage film. I think you can just look up a compilation of Ryan Reynolds' funny moments from this movie, and then you will see everything that this movie really has to offer that is good. And guys, Blade Trinity gets a D+. I sincerely hate this movie, actually. just the more I'm thinking about it, the more it is angering me just because of how much Blade and Blade 2 really entertained me and were really well written, well directed, well put together, well acted. The effects were really good, the fight scenes were really good. This movie has not very much of that stuff. And I really, really hate it. Thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comments what you think of Blade Trinity and what you think the best part is. I personally will argue until the day I die that Ryan Reynolds is, just because he's actually funny. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.